Hey, welcome back to another exciting edition of Spector Creative, where we look at the toy industry and different ways of getting product to us, the toy collectors. And on this very special episode, we're going to talk about subscriptions. What is a subscription model? Well, it's something that a lot of businesses use. If you've ever bought a magazine or a online streaming service, you've probably participated in a subscription business model. It's where you give money up front to a company, and they now have the liability to provide you with a certain amount of time's worth of product or services, be it a month or a year. Even things like a Costco membership is a subscription-based service. These things are everywhere in society. And one of the subscription services that tends to rattle fans is sort of that figure of the month concept. Now, doing something of the month is not at all unique to action figures. There are so many industries that do the of the month type business model, where you're delivering a new product based on a theme or a category for fans of said product. And I'm bringing this up because I was involved with an of-the-month product service, which successfully brought huge amounts of toys to collectors. And I want to explain the logistics of why this is good for the toy industry and is not an evil. And, is actually something that can sort of complement retail release for product that might not otherwise work. And with of-the-month items working for so many other brands. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. I'm sorry. Can we go back? Fiber of the month? What is that like? I mean, is that computer fiber or is that like digestive fiber? Okay, I'm gonna have to do a Google search on this one. I'm intrigued. All right. Well, moving on. So MattyCollector.com, I've mentioned this several times on this channel, and the reason being is because I worked on this brand for 7-8 years. It was Mattel's action figure of the month club. And the way that this directly benefited toy collectors was the subscription model allowed Mattel to put out product lines that went deeper as far as character selection than really any retail line can go. I mean, yes, we've had Star Wars and G.I. Joe and Marvel Legends that are pretty deep, but for the most part, most toy lines have an average life of 1.5 years at retail. So getting, over 300 action figures is something to be celebrated. And the way we accomplished this was by having these of-the-month clubs. So there'd be different clubs for different brands, whether it was DC or He-Man or Voltron, etc., etc. All of the different brands, well, not all brands on Matty, but most of them were tied to a of-the-month type system where you would sign up a year in advance, and every month you would get shipped one or two figures. And, sometimes we'd have slip-ups where a figure from a certain month would get bumped to another. But the idea was in place, and that was, it didn't always work out. But it worked out, 80, 90% of the time. So if you signed up something for, like, a Masters of the Universe club, we would usually show beforehand the first couple months' figures plus the subscription-only figure. This would be the bonus character that if you signed up for a year, you would get a figure that wouldn't be offered day of. The rest of the figures would be offered for day of sales, but usually at a premium price. So the subscription figure usually wound up being something either that was a bell cow, meaning like a lure to get people to buy into the line, or something that complemented the greater toy collection, the greater subscription. Like in the case of Club Lion Force, we did Sven, who was the other pilot who didn't make it past the first episode, and he even came on a vintage card. So, it complemented the rest of what you were buying. And fans came to expect this and really want something special as part of the subscription. All right, so without subscriptions, now we're looking at the other alternative of getting toys out there is the big box store. And with a big box store, the toy aisle obviously has to function exactly like every other aisle. There aren't special rules for the toy aisle. So the idea is to avoid this, to avoid going on clearance and sell toys at full price, which is not as easy to do. And without proper toy stores anymore, which we don't really have, I mean, there's some mom and pop stores out there, but we've lost the chains. Thank you very much, Bain Capital. But without an actual toy store, big box stores and their scientifically created layout functions for a lot of people as a de facto toy store. But if you look at all the different departments in a big box store, and there are many, most have close to 50 different departments, well, toys are just one of them. And they're really there as a convenience for parents who need to buy gifts for their friends, or I'm sorry, their child's friends' birthdays. That's the main reason adults go to the toy aisle, except us. So finding a way to bypass retail to get toys out there is really an alternative. It's not a vindictive thing. Because there's a lot of reasons why toy lines don't work at retail. Maybe they're too big physically, like a Sentinel or a sail barge. Maybe they're too irrelevant, meaning kids and collectors aren't going to be interested in them. Maybe they're too impossible because the design of the toys or the design of the characters or the show doesn't work for toys. Or maybe it's just too obscure and there aren't enough fans. So an interesting example is something like Ghostbusters, which was part of Matty Collector, and it was one of the many subscriptions. You'd sign up and you'd get a figure every month or every other month that was part of the Ghostbusters IP. And a lot of people bring up, well, why didn't you just sell the Ghostbusters brand at retail? And the simple answer is, at the time, retail was not interested. Ghostbusters was not a brand that did well at retail at the time. Now, fast forward to 2021, and it's a different story. And the reason is really tied to content. Now, we did get some product out at retail, like this Ghostbusters pack at Toys R Us, but that was after multiple years of successful proof at Matty Collector, and the fact that Toys R Us has a lot more floor space than a big box store, so they can afford to have one-off brands that aren't tied to a planogram, simply because they have the shelf space. And the example of the Mattel Ghostbusters product at Walmart, well, that was during a movie year. There's a big difference between putting product out there as a nostalgia play or, unless it's, than being tied to a movie year or an anniversary, having what's called a toy event. There were no toy events before 2016 for Ghostbusters. So now in 2021, when you go into a big box store and you see there are large displays for Ghostbusters, and people say, well, why couldn't Mattel just sell them in, back in the day? It's also a movie year in 2021. There is a new movie out, and that's exactly why you see Ghostbusters product hanging at big box stores, because there is new content. That's exactly what drives big box interest in carrying toy lines. But we have to go a little bit deeper than that, because understanding big box priorities and what they put in a very limited amount of shelf space that's allocated for not just the toy section, but the action figure aisle, the question has always come up, well, why can't they just do this made to order? Why can't fans just tell big box stores, I want this product, and they'll either ship it to me or they'll have it in the store waiting for me? Now, obviously, this is a really good thing for retailers and manufacturers, because if they can nail the exact quota, then they avoid all of the costs of inventory. And that's a big reason why a lot of toy lines aren't carried at retail, because of the inventory risk, because it costs a lot of money to store unsold product. This is why we see product showing up at things like Ollie's or Five and Below, because storing it long time is like flushing money down the drain. Nobody wants to store product. They just want to build it, ship it, and get it out the door as quickly as possible. And when you have companies like Super 7, like with their Ultimates line, that offer pre-buys and made-to-order product, that's exactly the solution. I love seeing what Super 7 is doing, because they're doing exactly what fans are asking for. Fans are saying, I want a built-to-order system. Well, here you have Super 7 offering a built-to-order system, yet there's all this negative feedback against them that they're either gouging fans or taking advantage of people, but that's exactly the solution. It's the same thing with HasLab. HasLab and Matty Collector before it doing product that is made to order, that is put up for pre-order, and only goes into production if the minimum amount is ordered. Well, that is the safety net for the toy company to invest in the high cost of tooling and development of an item that wouldn't otherwise work at retail. Even though there's empty, shelves at retail, you can't just fill it with a Sentinel. It doesn't work that way. The planograms for retail are set up years in advance. So there's not really this third option out there other than toy companies selling directly to subscribers or customers with a pre-sale or product going to a big box retailer. Maybe there will be, and it would be great. I mean, we're always trying to, evolve and innovate. But big box stores need to focus on product that turns and has high velocity, meaning it sells very quickly. And something like, what was sold on Matty Collector, Ghostbusters, Masters of the Universe, Watchmen, that stuff doesn't sell very quickly at big box stores. Think of, honestly, something like toilet paper, which does sell quickly. So what is the future of toy distribution? Maybe there will be some awesome new distribution model. But for the moment, if you want product made to order, look around because we have that. Things like HasLab and things like Super 7 are doing made to order product. And it really is awesome because it's getting us product that wouldn't work at retail for a variety of reasons. And it gets us product guaranteed because we are buying it made to order. They're making it once they hit their minimum quota, and that's what they will make, is exactly how many customers ask for. It really is an ideal solution, and I think it should be embraced as a great way for collectors to get more product. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it was insightful on the subscription model and the benefits of ordering via pre-orders and made to order, and why certain product winds up at big box retail and why others don't. If you have questions, comments, need more in-depth review of this, let me know in the comments below, and I'll always answer back. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.